you'll see I'm going to talk about right now. Because I haven't started yet. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, team, to Big Nick, Big Leadership, because the world needs leaders. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. And welcome to episode 6. Today, we'll be talking about selecting the right people. So if you've tuned in over the last little while, you caught the levels of leadership. You talked about it being lonely at the top, what it's like to be a new leader. And now we are jumping into one of the topics that I think is most important to any leader, and that is how to build your team. Well, how to build your team all starts with selection. Obviously, selection, that means selecting the people that are going to be joining you on your leadership journey. One of, if not the most important thing that you can ever do as a leader, because it will determine who is going on the walk with you, who is going on the journey with you. Okay, so we're gonna talk about that. But before we do that, just to remember everybody who is tuning in, if you're watching this live, really appreciate you tuning in. And if you are catching this after the fact, well, just remember to please subscribe to Big Nick Big Leadership on Facebook. You can also find me on YouTube. You can select that. You can also click the notification button so you can get it every time we go live, so you can be the first ones to tune in and make sure that you are getting all of the information firsthand. I wonder if there's an echo here, but I did think I muted both of my channels, but we'll just see in case. But hopefully there's no echo today, as there has been in previous iterations. However, here we are. So back to the big thing. Welcome back. Sorry about last week, everybody. Got some scheduling conflicts. Obviously, I'm a dad. I'm working all the time. Things are happening. Kids going back to school. There's a lot of crazy things happening in the world right now. So to be joining you today, yes, I didn't want to put it off another week. That would be crazy. Although scheduling is complicated, but we are making it through. Thank you for joining us again if you are here. Shout out to Bryn if you are watching this, because it is his birthday today. So happy birthday to my buddy Bryn. And hopefully this is a cool day for you. And now let us get on with the show. Let's talk about today selection. Okay. Now, why is this so important? You might be saying, well, it's pretty obvious. If I need brain surgery, I don't want a musician performing the brain surgery. So it would be obvious that you need to select based on, getting people that are qualified for the job. Obviously, that would be a very important factor to take into account. You're not going to put someone who is unqualified for the position. However, selection is a much broader topic than just saying, does someone have the skills necessary to accomplish this task? And there are many, many, many careers and jobs out there that people are doing that I can guarantee you, when they finish school or when they finished, training, or they're, let's say they finished university, they have now found themselves in positions that they did not anticipate they would be in when they started their journey. I also guarantee you that out there are many jobs whose qualifications to at least start that job are fairly minimal. And so there's a lot of transferable skills out there. And so how do you, depending on your, workforce and, workload, select the right people or get the right people for your job when maybe there's a lot of skills and different education levels and different types of backgrounds that are acceptable for your type of work, right? How do you find the right people? Where do you find those people? Well, today we're not going to talk about where to find them, but we are going to talk about how to find them. We are going to talk about the type of people that you are looking for. How do you even know what type of people you should be looking for? Well, we are going to go through all of that right now, okay? So let me just make sure we are going okay here. Let me just check if everything is good. I'm going to go back to my dashboard here. Let's make sure everything's good. Here we go. Let's just see here. There we go. How about informing Latin people? Yes, Peggy. Absolutely. Latin people. Love the Latin people. Okay, we're all on here, so this is good. All right, this is saying it's happening, so let's see. Okay, good. Yes, of course. Informing Latin people. Okay. Thanks for joining, Peggy. So happy that you're here today, jumping in. Well, hopefully you like the presentation on how to pick the right people for your workplace, okay? This is an exciting thing. We've got en español. Oh, I see. How about doing this in español? Wow. Geez, yes, that would be like a whole other dimension, but gracias por venir y por participar hoy en la conversación. I'm going to do most of the presentation in English, but hey, if there is a Latin community out there that wants to talk about this stuff, estoy muy feliz de hacerlo, okay? Bienvenido, Peggy. Espero que te gusta, okay? And anybody else who's listening out there, whatever language you speak, I'm happy to translate it. I'm happy. We'll figure it out. Awesome. Okay, so back to what we were talking about today. They're going to go right to our good old-fashioned slideshow presentation. Okay, so we're going to be talking about today the episode 6, which is selecting the right people. Okay, so let me start. Boom, here we go. What is selection all about? Okay, what does it mean to select the right people? Okay, first thing is the goal to get the right people on the bus. What does that mean? Okay, that actually comes from an author, Jim Collins. Referenced him here on the show before. Check out previous episodes if it's something that you're interested in. But for sure, getting the right people on the bus. His whole concept is, Jim Collins, that is, in the book called Good to Great. Okay, is his book. Do recommend that one. Almost as good as Levels of Leadership. Life-changing as well. Anyway, get the right people on the bus means that the whole theory is you can put the right people, and I mean the right, what are the right people? I'll talk about that in a second. But you put the right people in a situation where they are driving the corporation, the company forward, and those people will steer the bus to where it needs to go. You pick the right people and you will be successful as a leader, because the concept is the right people are usually the right people in most circumstances, okay? You want to select the people that complement you, people that challenge you, people that resonate with you. What do I mean by all that? Let us jump to that, okay? What is the right person? Now, I'm going to tell you stuff you already know. There's nothing here that is earth-shattering, okay? It's not like anything I'm going to say here you don't already have an understanding of. But the whole thing here is that we don't put enough emphasis on what it means to be picking and really focusing on picking the right people for your team and what a difference that can make. So how do you define the right person? Okay, well, I give you some questions here that you can take a look at. Number one is, what type of person are you, or who are you as a person? Because you want to select people not that agree with you, because that's not the number one thing, but you want to select people that are going to align with the type of person you are. So you have to ask yourself, then, question 2, what type of people do you work well with? Okay. Obviously, everyone's going to work well with people who listen and follow directions, right? If everyone is going to work well with happy people, okay? But you have to sort of go a little bit deeper than that. And when I mentioned in the previous slide, we mentioned resonate, people who resonate with you. What that means is people who are on your level, as in when you communicate with them, you have a good feeling about, who is this person? How do they, what is it like to talk to them? Do I feel comfortable with this person instantly? And this is exactly what it says in point 3 here. People that you feel comfortable and connected to instantly. If you want to know what connecting is with somebody, you have to go back to our levels of leadership, which was the number 2. It was level 2, right? Connection and presence to build that relationship. But, you'll meet people in your day-to-day life, or you'll meet people that you are looking to hire or not hire. And you'll know right away. You'll say, that person, I had a good feeling about that person. Well, what is that? Well, it could be a number of things. And depending on your level of experience, depending on what you're looking for, you'll be able to sort of weed out why you have that feeling. You don't just want to hire someone because you felt good around that person, because there's way more to it than that. But that's a really good starting point, because if you meet someone and the first time you're like, whoa, kind of rubbed me the wrong way, then that doesn't mean you don't hire them. It just means that you have to start looking deeper as to what made you feel that way. Is it your own personal trigger? Was it something with you? Was it something with them? Was it something that specifically you could put your finger on? So all of those things come into play, and you need to really take a moment to analyze all that. But next point is, what are your values? You don't want to be selecting and hiring people who have values that may be completely against yours. Now, defining your values as a leader is different from defining your personal values, right? So if you in terms of your company, maybe you value hard work, you value effort, you value, going the extra mile, you value customer service. All of those things are important. I don't mean necessarily what do you value personally, because remember that there is a separation between personal and professional. At the same time, a consistent and a strong leader, usually the line between their personal life and their professional life is kind of a blurry one because they tend to be a consistent person all throughout both experiences. But we're not talking about that specifically. We're saying as a professional, what type of person are you? Who are you? Okay. What do you represent as an individual and as a leader? What type of people do you work really well with? Because you're going to want to bring those people into your circle. And what are your values? Okay. What do you value as a leader in your people? Because remember, if you go back to a couple weeks ago when we actually finished up the Levels of Leadership, if you're doing this all by yourself, if you're the only one out there pushing for leadership and you're the only one out there pushing for the goals for the company, it's lonely at the top. You need to build a support system around you, not only because you can't do a lot of things all on your own. Secondly, you need to be building the succession plan. What's going to happen if you're not there one day, right? And I don't mean, in a terrible, well, you're not there kind of way. I mean, what if you take a day off? What happens? Who do you trust? Who do you put in line? So, all these things have to be clear and laid out, but at the same time, putting the right people in those roles is going to change everything. It's going to make a world of difference for you, okay? So, who is the right person, okay? One thing I want to say is the real right people, honestly, in my experience over 20 years of selecting teams and building teams, hundreds, I would even go as far to say like multiple hundreds of interviews, multiple hundred sort of one-on-one sessions in training and developing people. The best people that I've ever worked with, honestly, end up being the best people anywhere they work. So what does that mean? Does that mean that, it's hard to hold on to the right people? Yes, but we're going to explore all that in a bit. However, there are some commonalities between these people. And as you start to develop a system for selecting those people, there are some things that go across the board that you can pick out of the best people for future when you're trying to select, okay? Because the other thing too is that most businesses, if you're like any normal business, there are demands that you need to meet. And if you're doing a good job with your business, then your business is growing. And if your business is growing, well, guess what? You need more people. You need to recruit, okay? So very important. So here are some common threads for the right people, okay? And I'm going to talk to you about each one, and we're going to break it down for you, okay? So, number one, this is Big Nick's top 5 for the right people. So, is this like my own personal list? Yes, this is my own personal list. However, the order is very important, and also this is also like repeated in many, many books. I think you're going to find there's sort of a crossover and an overlapping of all of these ideas, okay? First thing I look for in a person, number one thing I look for, motivation, high energy, and drive. Nobody wants to hire lazy people. Lazy people will become obvious very quickly. Okay, you will notice, early on if someone is lazy or is trying to get around things or is trying to avoid tasks. Those things become, obviously very apparent and pretty quickly. Okay. Next one is positive attitude. Okay. Sorry, let me go back to number one. It's too important. I don't want to skip it. I want to come back and say it again. High energy and motivation. Okay. To find high energy and motivated people, these people will tend to be high energy and motivated people in all aspects of their lives. Okay. So, this is going to come across in an interview. You can also make interview questions in order to bring out this type of thing. What type of things do you do in your spare time? What kind of sports teams are you involved in? What do you do? What do you do if the job's not finished, but it's 5:00? You're trying to, everyone knows how to answer these questions, by the way, but you're going to obviously test them on it because depending on the, demands of your business, people will be put into these situations in which they have to demonstrate these kind of things. So, okay. So I just want to make sure that's clear with everybody. That number one, motivation, high energy, and drive. You get a person right away that you can tell is a motivated kind of person. You're already out of the starting blocks in good shape, okay? Because that means that, they're not afraid to work hard. And I think everybody out there, if you're hiring for your business, it's because the demand is probably too much for you to do by yourself or for the team that you have. You need more people, okay? So you want people who are driven to, do that, to get that to happen. Okay. Number two, next thing I look for, a positive attitude, okay? How can you tell if someone has a positive attitude? Well, for example, are they smiling? Are they showing open body language? Are they paying attention to what you're saying? Are they, nodding and do they look interested in what's happening? And if you ask them questions like, how do you deal with a bad day? Right? These type of things will get them to tell you, what are their strategies for dealing, because listen, everybody's going to have bad days. It happens. Everybody's got a bad day. But how you get through that and how you manage that is going to determine the type of success you have in a problem solving situation. And really, most employees are in problem solving situations. That's what they have to deal with on a regular basis. And you, as their leader / manager / boss, have to be able to trust them to deal with certain things. And if they have the wrong attitude, if they have a negative attitude, then that makes overcoming challenges like 10 times harder. And you all know that, okay? So when you're selecting or when you're interviewing or when you're trying to figure out if this person is right for your team, a positive attitude is key, okay? Develop interview questions that will test whether or not they have a positive attitude. Number 3, professionalism, okay? So if they have an interview, did they show up on time for the interview? Did they dress appropriately? Did they wear the type of clothes that would be appropriate for an interview that, for example, if you're working in a fitness club, you don't need them to necessarily come in a shirt and tie, that maybe, unless, if you're expecting them to come in and do a workout, then certainly you don't want them in a shirt and tie. You want them in something, but are they in clean clothes as opposed to dirty clothes? Okay. Are their clothes ripped or these kind of things? I know that this may go without saying, but I think you'd be surprised at how many people don't understand the art of the interview. And I think that this specific episode of the podcast is not about interviewing this, but it is specifically about, recognizing signs of someone that if the red flag goes up, this early on in the process, chances are this person isn't going to work out for you. Okay. Next one, number 4. Which I find also very important, but we're going in order here, okay? So remember, I've gone through motivation, positive attitude, and professionalism. I don't even know if this person is qualified yet, right? Now, probably if you're calling this person in for an interview, you probably saw their resume at some point. So if you probably know whether or not they're qualified to do this job. But what I'm saying number 4 is not necessarily qualification. You notice the word qualification is there. It's talent and skill, okay? So are they able to do the job? Do they have a background in the job or in the profession or whatever it is that you're trying to recruit for? Do they have some kind of, toe dipping in there so they have, an idea of what's going to happen when they join this team, okay? Notice that it's pretty far down on the list, okay? The last one, though, which I actually should have put this probably higher, but you can't really tell this until they've almost got the job, okay? And that is teachability. What is teachability? Another word, coachability. These are all synonyms to say that the person that you have in front of you, when you give them feedback, are they going to take that feedback and improve, okay? I can tell you that recently I've had a couple experiences where training a new person, over a series of experiences, I've had, a time where, 2 different, employee A and employee B, okay? Employee A and employee B make the same mistake. So let's say, I don't know, that we're talking about a lifting technique. So I'm saying, okay, when you lift this certain package, you need to use your legs, and here's how you would grab the package, and here's how you would lift the package. Employee A says, great, okay, thank you. And the next time I observe them in that situation, they do it properly. And at which point I can say, good, you did it right. Employee B, says, oh, okay, and then goes out and does not change the action. Now, this is a very simple request / bit of feedback, but employee A has already demonstrated that they took that feedback and ran with it. Employee B is demonstrating, not that they didn't listen, I'm sure they heard what it was, but for some reason they've chosen not to. So in this case, what do I have to do? I have to go back and I have to show them again. Maybe that person is not an auditory learner or not a visual learner, but they need to be hands-on. So maybe I need to do it with them. I'll always give someone the benefit of the doubt. But however, what I'm looking for is over a short period of time that employee A will improve their behavior and then, continue learning and look for other things to learn. Employee B does not improve over time, which means that they are not coachable. That's as a leader, one of the most frustrating things to deal with is an employee or a team member who's not taking your feedback in any way, shape, or form and is not able to run with it, okay? Because you need to constantly be raising the bar as a leader, right? That's what your job is. And if they're not hitting basic expectations and then they continue to not hit basic expectations, the problem is you're dragging them along. And if you remember from last time, one of the previous episodes, you're only as strong as your weakest link, okay? So this is part of the selection process. Boom. Okay. I just want to reference something. This is a good time to take, if you have a minute, if you're watching this and it's not live and you are checking this out later on, maybe on YouTube right now, or you're on Facebook, I do highly recommend Simon Sinek's talk, his TED Talk on trust versus performance. Okay. So right, hold on a second here. Oh, wow. So this leadership video is called Latin Dance Party. Got to fix that. Hold on, everybody. Hold on now. That is hilarious. That's so funny. We're talking, DJ Big Nick Latin Dance Party. Wow. We're going to fix that right now. Thank you, Eddie, for pointing that out. We're going to do this. Big Leadership. Big Nick, Big Leadership. Episode 6. And this is called Selection. All right, we're going to select that. Wow, thanks, buddy. Thanks for doing that. Appreciate it. We're going to save that. We're going to fix this one. Latin Dance Party. Hey, well, all of those of you tuned in for the Latin Dance Party, sorry to disappoint you. We are doing episode 6 here, talking about selection. Oh, man. You know what? You know what's great about having friends that check my stuff out every so often? The fact is, they save you from these embarrassment things halfway through your podcast. Really appreciate that. You know what? We're learning as we go. Honestly, at least the content hopefully is good. So hopefully you've enjoyed the Latin Dance Party up to now. But now we're going to talk more about selection. Woo! Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate it, buddy. If you're watching this, all right, very good. I don't know if he's watching. I can't tell if he's watching live. Let me take a look here. Let's see. Maybe, Peggy, is that why you tuned in? Did you think this was a Latin dance party? Oh, well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Maybe next time we'll get that Latin dance party happening, okay? Oh, that's so good. All right, let me see what's going on the Twitch channel. Okay, we're good. Everybody's okay. Good. All right, we're back to the situation here. Okay, where was I? Simon Sinek. Okay, so I referenced it in this thing. I will also put this in the YouTube comments if you're interested in following this. But basically, Simon Sinek, who worked with Navy SEALs, there's a strategy whereabout they talk about selection. Okay, they talk about who they're selecting as their leaders. Hold on, it's tea time. Okay, good. So, how do they select their leaders? Well, basically, you can imagine there's a graph. I'm not going to do it because you can watch the YouTube video is like 3 minutes long. So it's a really good synopsis of a lot of things that I'm talking about today. But I think a lot of it will resonate and ring true for you. Okay. Number 1, you got performance and you've got trust. Okay, these are 2 parts of the graph. So the performance side, okay, which is in his video, it's on the vertical. Performance represents your skill sets, okay, or as he's talking about with Navy SEALs, the on the battlefield stuff, your ability to actually do your job. And as a Navy SEAL, I can only imagine the difficulty of their job. Okay. But the skills involved in that. Okay, so if you think of your industry, let's take an industry like, I don't know what's going on. Let's say if you're in the fast food industry, okay? So your skills, your performance, it would be your ability to, if you're on, say, the burger station, your ability to flip the burgers and cook and watch and monitor and produce enough burgers at the set time, all those metrics that you can measure easily. That's your performance line, okay? And then the trust line is the type of person you are. So it's actually not related specifically to a skill set, but more the type of person, the type of the type of individual and your contribution as everything around your performance, like who are you and how do you behave. So his point was, we have all these ways to measure performance, and we don't have a lot of ways to measure the trust factor. But if you take that example and you put it into a real world context, is and you go to think of the workplace that you're in right now. Say to yourself, who do I trust the most? I bet you could name somebody, right? That's his point, okay? Same thing as, who is the top performer? Now, are they both the same person? Because if they are, then they're what you call a high trust, high performance person. Obviously, that's the one everybody wants, because they'd have all the things going on, okay? Now, the question becomes, if you have to select, but you don't have a high trust, high performance person, who do you go to next? Do you go to high performance and lower trust? Or do you go high trust and lower performance? Well, according to Simon Sinek, according to the Navy SEALs, here's the deal. The trust factor basically says, do I trust this person with my life? Okay, and I think he adds in, and with my wife, right? So, do you value more someone who, when the chips are down and when you're in a difficult situation, is going to have your back? Or do you value the person who's, in the Navy SEAL case, I guess, perhaps able to shoot the furthest and most accurate, or swim the longest, or whatever it is they have to do? The studies are showing that high performance, low trust leads to toxicity, leads to a toxic leader, leads to someone who is, looking to get out ahead in terms of their abilities, but not necessarily caring about what happens to everybody around them. Okay. So when you're selecting, not only, I guess, selecting for people to join your team, but you're selecting later on for future leaders. Like if you're at that level 4 leadership point, check out past episodes to figure that out. Okay. Anyway, what you're looking for is trust over performance. And I can attest that in my professional my professionals, my professions, my careers, I can say that I have chosen trust over ability, and if you say another word for trust, I have chosen coachability and sort of genuine, transparent people over people who are excellent at the job out of the gates. Or, 100 times out of 100. Okay. Why? Because I want to be able to know that people that I'm dealing with understand, what my expectations are as a person, not just, are they the fastest at this job? Are they sort of the best at the job? I want people that will take my advice and work with me. And, when I'm in a tough spot, they're going to have my back. That's the type of team I want to build. Ask yourself, is that the team that you want to build? Because remember, we talked about this way back in the day. You can be whatever type of leader you want, as long as you're consistent. That's the key. Okay. So I do recommend you check out that TED Talk. It's posted here. Like I said, I'll post it in the YouTube comments. Okay. What I'll do right now, I will highlight it. And whoopsies. There we go. I can't edit it because I'm not. There I am. I can't edit it because it's on the screen. I'll get it later for you. Okay. Myths about selection. So this is something that I want to attack head on, because I'm telling you, people make these mistakes. These are mistakes. Myths. Perhaps myths because they're not true, but I'm telling you straight up, these are mistakes, okay? And mistakes that people make all the time about selecting people. Number 1, anybody is better than nobody. False, okay? So in the great words of Dwight Schrute, false, all right? You might be saying, well, wait a second. I have this contract I have to fill. What am I supposed to do if I don't have anybody to fill it? Okay, I'm telling you right now, and you're not going to want to hear this. Business owners don't want to hear this. People at the very top, people who pay your salary, don't want to hear this, but it's the truth, okay? Putting someone in just because you need someone to do job X, and you happen to find a random person and they don't fit your selection criteria. They don't work well with you, but maybe they've got the skills you need or whatever. You pluck them out of who knows where. You got that person. and you're like, okay, well, this person can work, so I'm going to take this person and I'm going to put them into the situation because I need someone. Here's the problem. Maybe you cover the bases for that day or that week or that little contract, but here's the thing. The person is not necessarily a team player. Maybe they're not coachable, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to have more problems down the road. I guarantee it, 10 times out of 10, 100 times out of 100, and you're going to wish you didn't hire them in the first place. So, just because you need someone doesn't mean you put anybody in. Now, do what you want. I mean, listen, people do this all the time. I know I've even been there where I'm like, okay, I need, whatever this is covered and I'm having an issue with this and I don't know what to do. But 10 times out of 10, just throwing someone in because they're available or they're around or they could do it or whatever is costly. Costly in the long run, costly in the headache department, costly in the management department, okay? Trust me, it's going to make more headaches. I know that for the bottom line, it's not smart to accept or to sort of lower your volume in order to find the right person. But honestly, it is worth its weight in gold because when you have the right person, the ability to grow will be exponentially faster and you'll probably make up 5 times what you lost because the first person screwed up and then the second person screwed up. You just kept throwing people in because they needed to be in it. Not the way to do it, okay? Trust me. Number 2, finding the right person is lucky. It's not lucky. It's not luck. It's skill. It's a talent. It's an ability as a leader to pick the right people, okay? You might think, I got lucky with this person or I got lucky with that person. Well, there are people that get lucky every time. Why? Because it's not luck. Because they know how to pick the right person. And obviously that is based on, let's go back to Big Nick's top 5. If you're picking people with these 5 things, motivation, positive attitude, professionalism, some talent and skill, and they're teachable, you got a winner right there. Doesn't matter what job you're doing. Doesn't matter if you're making hot dogs in a chip stand or if you're, running an accounting firm. If you got these things here, I'm telling you, these people are going to be winners, and it's going to make you, as a leader, a winner. Okay? Good. Myth number 3. In order to have the right people, I need to pay more. Okay. This is killer. This is a tough one. This is, okay, because we can argue this is a real sticking point for people, and I understand why, okay? But I can tell you this much. If you go back to Simon Sinek, he also has several TED Talks. He's a great leadership TED Talk person, but he also bases it on science and values and data, so that's important. He points out that bonusing with additional money in most circumstances doesn't necessarily lead to higher performance. It does lead to increased competition levels. It also can lead to demotivation. Now, only certain people, only a certain type of person is motivated by just money alone, okay? Now, I'm not stupid though. Money makes the world go round. I get it. Okay, more money is better. Like if you have 2 jobs in front of you and they're both similar in scope and this one pays $20 an hour and this one pays $30 an hour, well, it's a no-brainer why you would choose the $30 an hour if, we're talking apples to apples, okay? But your company and someone else's company, it's never apples to apples, right? Your company versus what someone else is someone else's company. It's not apples to apples. It's apples to oranges, apples to grapefruits. You guys are in different industries. What matters to people, okay, is how they feel when they are at work. Because when you talk, let's say, okay, let's start at the bottom. Let's talk minimum wage jobs, okay? If you're working at, this restaurant, fast food, or you're working at, this store retail, or you're working at this, whatever, administrative position or whatever, there is a similarity in that the amount of money you can make from those things, whether you work 5 hours or 40 hours, ultimately has the same level, right? Because it's minimum wage. Also, the ability to climb that ladder is basically proportionately, related to your performance, et cetera, et cetera. But let's just say all of those, are in apples to apples. So why do some people choose to work here? Some people choose to work there. Well, they need jobs. Okay, yeah. But why do they stay here instead of trying this over here? Because they could, right? If all things are equal, if it was just about money, then they would jump from here to here to here because, all of these places always need people. But the answer is because people will do different jobs, will stay in a place because of the way that job makes them feel. Okay? It is important to note that how you treat people has a direct proportionate impact on how long they will stay and on how hard they will work. Okay? If you remember a couple episodes ago, we talked about in level 2 leadership, right? People's behavior is actually a direct proportionate response to how they feel about you. So if you know that your job pays, in this range, okay, well, then when you hire someone and they know what the pay is, they know what's expected, they know what's happening, then you keeping that person longer than another industry that pays in that range depends on how you treat them as a leader. Okay? So to find the right people, do I need to pay more? Again, here's the gray area. If they take your job, if they're interested in your job, for them to leave your job to go somewhere else, the reward, the payoff, and I don't mean pay specifically, but the payoff has to be enough that it's worth the effort to make the jump. As in, people also enjoy routine and comfort. So if they've gotten into a routine in a zone with you in your situation, to move somewhere else that pays more, or the only difference is the pay, either the pay has to be significant enough or they have to be not content enough with you to make that jump. Either way, you can have a significant impact on the longevity of their employment with you by how you treat them and the type of leader that you are. Selection and selecting, I'm just saying the same people are going to be walking through your door as are walking through other people in the industry that you find yourself, the range you find yourself. Now, obviously, if you pay more from the beginning, then you are attracting a different kind of person. So I think that, one of my buddies, Eddie, used this example. I think my buddy Bryn, whose birthday, both of them really sort of made this example a long time ago for me, and it really stuck with me. So think about this, right? If you're going shopping for a house and you have $200,000 that you can spend on a house, well, then you get X type of house, depending on your community, right? If you have $500,000 to spend on a house, you're in a different range. You can now afford a different range of house. You have a selection of bigger houses versus smaller houses. You could still pick the $200,000 house, but your upper range, the type of what you're qualified for, actually drastically increases. If you have $1 million, right, it goes up and it goes up and it goes up. What you can get, increases. So depending on the balance between what your business can afford and the type of person you're trying to attract, then your pay scale should reflect something in there. So the original point is, if I want the right people, I need to pay more. And all I'm saying is, if you are paying fairly and adequately for your range of your position in the industry that you're in, then the difference is not going to be the money. The difference is going to be how you treat the people, okay? And how you select those people to join your team is a whole other, a whole other thing, okay? So just paying people more doesn't mean you're getting better people. However, if the initial starting is a wider range, then obviously, you're dealing with a different range of person, okay? Whew. Does that make sense? Good. Hopefully it does. Anybody watching? Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, good. Okay, great. Selection by the numbers. I just want to go through. So this is from a previous life of mine in terms of how I would expect to do my hiring. And if you find yourself in an industry that involves dealing with people and selecting people to deal with people, it was a people-based industry, right? So here's how I would break this down, and this is something that I think most people should pay attention to, because it really is, there is a law of averages component to what's going on, okay? So we'll start with interest in the position. So I posted an ad on Indeed or ZipRecruiter or whatever it is, okay? 100 people sent in their resumes. From those 100 people, we're going to assume that we would have selected about 25. So we're already down to 25% return on that, whatever it is, the ad you placed, okay? How many of those would go on to the next phase? I would say conservatively about 10. Okay, so I'd have 25. Whatever phase I had there, whether it was a sit-down interview or a practical interview or maybe some group interview or a phone interview, whatever it is that sort of weeds out the main candidates, this is the point where a lot of people say to me, and I think it's very true, you know, I knew right away when I met this person that I was interested in hiring them, or I could tell right away they were the right type of person. That's sort of this phase, okay? This next phase. Then you go to what we call the hiring phase, and now I'm down to 5, okay? So I went from 25 interviews, as in I selected them for sort of stage 1. Then we go to 10, you know, with the next phase, and then I cut it back down to 5. So I'm going like halves every time, a little bit less than half the first time. More, yeah. Then, just because you offer them a job, here's what happens. They don't all take the job, and they don't all stay. I say make it past first couple of weeks, okay? 3. Then how many do I keep? And what I used to define keeping was 6 months and beyond, okay? Keeping people 1 or 2. So if you take the pool that we started with, which is about 100, at the end, I'm left with 1 or 2 gems, gold mines, okay? But is it worth it? Absolutely it is, which means that if you're not getting yourself in front of enough candidates, or if enough candidates are not getting themselves in front of you, there has to be a better strategy to try to get people interested. Because I can guarantee that people are out there, but you need to be recruiting in the right place. This podcast episode is not about where to recruit. It's and not even how to recruit. It's about which type of people are you trying to recruit. So all I'm saying is, by the numbers, it makes total sense. You might have to go from 100 to get 1. Okay? So don't be scared that you're like, well, geez, I hired 20 people and I got nobody left, because they weren't the right people. It's okay. Stick with it. Boom. All right. Hopefully this has been educational for you. I'm summarizing a couple things. Big Nick's top 5 rules for selection, not top 5 rules for the right person. Top 5 rules for selection. Number 1, be clear about what you're looking for, okay? So you could sit down with a person and in front of you have that paper of drive. I got to test that they have drive. I got to test that they're professional. I got to test that they are teachable. All of these things, okay? Maybe you make them do a task and see how they carry it out, and then correct them on it and see if they can fix it. These kind of things. But be clear about what it is you're looking for in that situation, okay? Number 2, don't settle, okay? Availability doesn't make it opportunity. Again, just because you need somebody doesn't mean you put the first person in because you're like, oh, great, I'll take it. No, please, for the love of recruitment in general, don't do that, okay? It's going to be costly in the end, okay? So make sure that you don't settle on the wrong person just because you need somebody. It's worth going through the exercise to find the right person. I'm telling you, please. Number 3, if you have doubts, don't hire them. If you have a red flag that comes up right away in the interview process or in any stage, however you're conducting your interviews, you get a red flag, do not hire this person, because I'm telling you, your gut usually correct, okay? It's going to tell you, hey, don't do it. And I'm telling you, don't do it, because you're going to be like, well, maybe it's going to work. You know, listen, as humans, we tend to try to look for the good in people. That's great, okay? Good for you. That's important. You know what? And listen, your family and your friends, you know these people. So of course you're gonna go through ups and downs. When you're hiring somebody, you owe them nothing especially at the beginning. Okay, the very beginning. Don't bring somebody in when you're like, I'm just not sure, but I'm gonna give them a chance. No, you're not, because it's a bad idea. Trust me. If you have doubts, don't do it. Okay, next one. 4, turn over quickly, but not often. As in, what does that mean? It means that, remember, we got through all the top 5 things, and number 5 was teachability. Let's say you hire someone, you give them a chance, and they start working, and all of a sudden you're like, man, they're just not taking my feedback. Or I've asked them 3 times to do it, they're just not getting it out. Get them out, okay? We do have a probationary period, especially in Canada here. I mean, if you're in the U.S. and you're listening to this or whatever, I don't know how the laws work down there, but we have a probationary period, 3 months, not 30 days. So it's like basically 90 days. No questions asked. You can let them go. They can go. Okay. Don't hesitate in that first little bit to turn over. You might be saying, well, yeah, but I need them. No, you don't. It's better to get rid of them now, rip the Band-Aid off, then suffer the consequences later of not doing it, and then you can be like, man, I should have done it when I had the chance. Okay? Trust me, if it's a problem now, it's not going to go away. And this is the hardest thing for people to do. The hardest thing for leaders, bosses, managers, the hardest thing. You know why? Because nobody wants to be like, it's not working, get out. Or nobody wants to take on the headache of having to fill that role with the right person, even though you just put the wrong person into it. It's embarrassing. It's frustrating. Is it more front-end work? Yeah, but you know what? It's worth it. You want to build the right team. Do not settle and turn over. Get them out quickly. Don't leave them in there, because it's going to end up being this long-term problem that you can't get rid of. Okay? Trust me. Number 5, talent and teachability over skill. Okay? I don't know why. Plus, I said talent twice. It's so important, talent twice. No, talent and teachability over skill. Remember the Navy SEALs, okay? Trust over performance. Do I want someone who's the best shooter and is going to, swim covertly like a Navy SEAL? Of course I do, okay? But I also want someone that when I'm in trouble, I can trust that they're coming to help me, okay? I want to know that they got my back and I got their back, okay? Trust, teachability, talent, maybe the word should be trust, talent, teachability over skill. All right. Again, this is Big Nick's plan. That doesn't mean you have to agree with everything I'm saying, but I will say that we have reached the end of our podcast for today. Hold on a second. There we go. Well, that's not even what I want. This is what I want right there. Boom. Okay. And hope you found that educational. I hope you found that, there was something in there that you can grab onto, something that you're going to, maybe take with you the next time you have to hire somebody. Let's just go for a minute and see if there's anybody in the chat, if anybody is tuning in here. Let's see. Nope. Nobody on Twitch over there. Let's take a look over here. Nobody here. Okay, great. And let's see. Has Peggy... Is anybody watching? Let's take a look if there's live, no viewers. So that's okay. All right, we're all by ourselves in here, but just, you know what? This is a great time to remind everybody, if you're watching this as a secondary thing, to subscribe on Facebook. And you can subscribe on Twitch as well. Oh, I didn't even mention the Twitch. Subscribe to the Twitch channel. That is DJ Big Nick, and also hit the little notification button to stay notified of any time I go live, because hopefully you find the content exciting and interesting. So please don't forget to follow and like and do all those things and share this stuff. And I feel like this is really one of the most important topics we've covered so far on Big Nick, Big Leadership, because basically it really, if you want to grow a team, if you want to develop a team, well, then the only way to do that is to make sure you hire the right people. Okay. In the words of Jim Collins, first who, then what, as in it doesn't matter what you're doing. Okay. What matters is who is doing it, because the right people are usually the right people everywhere. Okay. Good. Again, so hopefully you liked that presentation. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me anytime at Big Nick Big Leadership or at Big Nick BL on Facebook. You can send me a message at any time. It's always a pleasure to have you guys here. And if you're watching this later on, I appreciate the support. And I do look forward to next episode next Friday. Don't know what the topic's going to be yet. If you have any suggestions for a topic, please write it in. Send me an email. You know what I'm saying. Because always happy to get your feedback and go from there. So hope everyone has a great weekend. It is Friday night, so get out there and enjoy yourself. And hope that we see you next Friday for another episode of Big Nick, Big Leadership, because the world needs leaders.